Welcome. Meditation and restorative. So we're just going to allow ourselves to kind of roll around on the ground and find quiet spaces here and there, and just invite the nervous system to settle. And with that little bit of instruction, the first place we begin is in a comfortable seat. So whatever that means for your body. Always that lovely supportive option to put a blanket or a cushion underneath your sits bones, just to give yourself a little bit of extra lift, a little bit of extra space for the hips, the knees, all of that good stuff. And you could set yourself up completely differently from the way that I'm currently structured. So if cross-legged doesn't work for you, find something else. Maybe just one leg stretching out, or maybe both. Maybe you feel like you need to lean back on something if you have that in your space. Just arriving in such a way that you can feel into your bones. And take a few moments to just tap into the flow of your breath. And perhaps with that simple, attentive request, your breath naturally starts to change. If that occurs, so be it, but we're not willfully trying to manipulate the breath at this point. Checking in with that sweet and tender heart of yours in this moment. Just acknowledging whatever may be present and holding those realizations with kindness and care for yourself. Knowing that although we may not be sharing physical space, there is still an energetic space that is being shared. So you are not alone. We are all held in some capacity of love and kindness. And whatever may be arising for you, can you offer just a little more breath to that experience? If you find that things are starting to clamp down and feel heavy, could you soften a little bit? Could you add just one more whisper of breath to help the body release? There's so much potential in a single breath when we pause to pay attention. And giving yourself that beautiful permission to do or not do any part of this practice as you see fit. Offering up just a little bit of sound to open the vibration of Om 3 times. Whether you choose to raise your voice or not is absolutely perfect. We'll offer a clearing breath in together and letting it go to sound. your body to readjust a little bit more. Still setting into a comfortable seated space for just a little while longer and inviting your awareness more onto that cycle of breath. So perhaps there's this gentle rising and expansion that you can sense into, and then a slow, gentle releasing and hugging in towards your center. And the invitation here is just to rest with your breath as I offer a few words from Richard Wagamuse's Book of Embers once again. And this has to do with relationship, of how we are interconnected, whether deeply or fleetingly, that there's an impact. He writes, from our very first breath, we are in relationship. With that indrawn draft of air, we become joined to everything that ever was, is, and ever will be. When we exhale, we forge that relationship by virtue of the act of living. Our breath commingles with all breath, and we are part of everything. That's the simple fact of things. We are born into a state of relationship, and our ceremonies and rituals are guides to lead us deeper into that relationship with all things. The big lesson: relationships never end, they just change. In believing that lies the freedom to carry compassion, empathy, love, kindness, and respect into and through whatever changes. We are made more by that practice. Allowing for those sweet words to land. And honoring that your breath is my breath, is our collective breath. It is the breath of the world. And in these practices, we attune to that breath to keep us present and aware. We'll do just a little moving meditation centered on the breath before we change position. So however your body is structured, and maybe you need to change position slightly, find a way to allow the palms to turn up towards sky. I'm thinking of the palms of your hands as mirrors to your lungs. As an inhalation comes to you and the lungs expand, your hands open wide. And as you exhale, there's this slow curling in, making a loose fist, that natural contraction of an out-breath. Inhale, hands open. Exhale, they gently close. And you'll just continue with this movement, mirroring your breath. And any time that you come to be distracted by thoughts, feelings, sensations, Can you pause just momentarily and bring yourself back to the sensation of your hands moving in relationship to your breath? Recognizing that your rhythm may be mirroring someone else's rhythm in this moment. Back to that collective drumming or thrumming that we share. And for your next 3 cycles of breath in this practice, could you potentially allow for even more expansion to occur? And after those 3 breaths, you can relax the movement of the hands. Just that body memory of movement is what remains. And the breath continues to ebb and flow. Using one beautiful releasing breath to make our transition a deep, deep inhale. Let it go with a bit of sound. If it feels okay to allow your eyes to open slightly, let that be part of your practice. If you'd prefer to stay closed and just take on audio cues, that's a beautiful way to practice as well. We're simply going to shift the body into a butterfly pose. And it might be that soles of feet together feels good for you. Maybe you wish to take the legs a little bit wider, open the hips a little differently. And we won't be here for too long. And it might be that just setting the body up in this fashion is more than enough. But there is the invitation to just let the heart and the head spill forward and curl and round. Using that breath to anchor you here. Steady, slow, gentle, nurturing. One breath into the next. I am here. You are here. We are all here. 3 more breaths to your chosen expression of butterfly. And gradually coming away from that shape, not rushing anything. Feeling into all of those layers. Maybe there's a scooping up of the legs as you stretch them away from you. Maybe your body needs a slightly different repositioning. And just taking the time to be in a little bit of stillness here. Somewhere in between the adopting of various postures. Just you and your breath. I and my breath. Earth underneath supporting. We'll come to bring our bodies over onto our bellies on the mat. Taking your time as you get there. And if you happen to be meeting this transition with a bit of resistance, would some tension or movement kind of smooth that experience? Maybe engaging the legs, rocking the hips, and then letting that go. Starting up on the elbows and the forearms. And we'll do a few cycles of a flowing cobra just for some spinal mobility, and from here we'll then settle into lazy lizard pose. So drawing the hands more underneath the shoulders and gently lowering the chest down towards the ground. Maybe the forehead grazes the mat for a moment. Feel the breath moving through you. And with your next inhalation, slowly begin to lift your body away from the ground, just as high as your body is willing to entertain here. The gaze flicks forward, and then we exhale and slowly lower back down to that starting point. And we inhale, gradually lift ribs, chest, head, and lower. One or two more times in your flowing cobra, fully embodying this scaling movement. When you feel you're done, drawing the hands forward, and we'll scoop up that left knee out to the side, wiggle to settle the hips, and perhaps you lower down onto stacked hands. Maybe it feels okay to lower that right ear all the way down to the mat, turning your head off to the side. And just continuing to make little micro adjustments until your body sends that little aha signal that everything is good, you're content here. And then you can drop right in and get good and heavy with ground. Feel that breath in your body, maybe even perceiving the beating of your heart. Allowing yourself to be held. Where else might you be able to let go? To soften in just a tad more. Could you possibly make the next 3 rounds of breath a little deeper? Maybe even offering some little sounding exhales. We'll gradually lift up just enough that you can slide that left leg back behind you. And we'll lower the head down onto stacked hands, taking a prone resting pose for a moment here. Being just as kind and gentle with yourself as you were setting up the first time. Lifting up onto elbows or forearms or hands. And gradually drawing that right knee out to the side. Feeling the hips settle there. And doing our best to mirror the way that we had set up the arms and the hands the first time through. So lowering down, and if you had turned the right ear to the ground, this time it'll be the left that settles in. Reconnecting to that sensation of breath in body. Feeling the flow, feeling the pulse. And letting that carry you into a place of rest for a little while. And we'll offer 3 more breaths, maybe a little bit deeper, maybe a little more expressive before you change position. Whenever you're ready to come out, taking your time, shifting in such a way that you can release the leg, release the arms, and we come back to that stacked hands, prone resting pose for just a few more moments. You'll take your time as you bring hands underneath shoulders and slowly slide your way back into a child's pose that feels good and supportive to you. So it might be you're resting your head on stacked hands, or maybe a cushion. Maybe you're just melting all the way down to the ground. Create the ideal circumstance for your body in child's pose right here, right now. And when you feel like it's a good time to move, just taking care as you start to shift about. And we're going to come over onto our backs on the mat and just grab hold of folded up blanket or cushion, and we're going to place it off to the left edge of the mat so that it's reachable kind of down towards the knees. And once you're on your back, perhaps a few little rocking windshield wiper like movements, just to be a little more present to the transition and the settling. Then we'll come to pause, the arms just resting comfortably off to the side. Take a breath here to feel how your body is grounding itself through various contact points. Let your body get heavy. And then we'll put weight into the heels, gently lift the hips, slide them out to the right side, set them down. And we invite the legs to fall off to the left side. So a gentle spinal twist. And that cushion is either underneath your stacked knees, or you could take it and wedge it between your knees. And either your gaze is up towards the sky, or maybe it rolls over the right shoulder. And if your twisting form starts to fall apart as your body relaxes into it, just let that happen. Notice where you might be clinging and holding on. And in that noticing, could you soften those areas even just a teeny tiny bit? Another breath or two in your supported twist. Letting the subtle contraction through the exhale help bring you back to center. And just gathering up your support and sliding it over to the right as you invite your hips to level underneath you. We're back in that neutral spine, feet to the earth, knees up to the sky. Just being with the release in the body. And then we take our supported twist to the other side, a little bit of lift, a shift of the hips off to the left, and then a cascading of the legs off to the right, supporting them from underneath or maybe from between the knees. And maybe that gaze rolls over the left shoulder this time. Sinking in as you feel your body settling. Could you dial down the sensation of holding in various parts, even by one little notch, so the body softens? And another breath or two to your twist. Gradually making your way back to center, leveling the hips underneath you. And maybe it would feel good to take that support you were using and tuck it underneath your knees. If the low back's tender, you might feel a little more content with feet to earth and knees just falling to the midline, touching together. Allow yourself to take up as much space as you require. Allow for your breath to be what it is. There's no need to control. And just letting yourself sink deeper and deeper in with each passing moment. The earth is there holding you with love and kindness. Eternal support. Interconnected. always in relationship. My breath, your breath, our breath. And in this moment, if your body needs to continue to rest, you allow yourself to rest. If you feel your practice has served its purpose and you wish to return to a seated form for a moment, you allow that to happen. And we take a moment to honor ourselves and one another for the time, the space, the energy dedicated and shared energetically through practice. And forever a deep bow of thanks to all of the things that keep us connected and practicing together. Namaste.